Good evening. This is the Elliott Wave Daily Update for the NASDAQ 100 and the S&P 500 for Thursday, August 1st, 2024. I'm going to start by saying that it was more than just an interesting day today. We saw a lot of factors coming from different sources, from Elliott Wave to Fibonacci to the order flows, the money flows, the gamma flows, the options, how they're trading. Each told a story and left a footprint that we could use to mark breakdown points, either break up or break down. We had both. And as the market day unfolded, it was a combination of both that really gave levels that the market continued to go to. And when you saw it in action, it kind of spelled that it was like you could see in terms of option trading what actually was going on, which likely was going to prevent the market from making much of a strong rally attempt because the Elliott took over and it did follow. So let me jump in. I'm going to start here with the NASDAQ. We did hear from Apple and we heard from Amazon. Amazon revenue-wise missed. And so that drove the stock initially, but then they thought forgiveness and they came all the way back and then they took it all the way back down. And now it's kind of finishing up, at least while the futures market is still open, pretty much still down, but not as deep. So it's down about $8, $9. So let's dive in. I'm going to start on the 4-hour chart. And what I want to show is, again, there was someone that commented and they thought that the orange box had been removed. And so I want to ensure, I did in a comment, but I want to just make sure there it is. It remains in place. And even after today now, I have additional internal support for this analysis that we will get inside this box. We're close to crossing the line where we'll step into it. In fact, right now, we are inside the box, but we're looking for it to come all the way in and almost out before it's complete. Okay, so today, I'm going to start again on the 4-hour chart. Then we can see how I put a few changes in. So I'm going to drop it down right away to the hourly so we can take a look at the inside. I pulled it back. And again, if you've just been listening to me the last couple of days, I've been kind of working on the Elliott going like, I don't like that. I don't like this. And so when that happens, it just continues to make me sit and rethink as the market progresses. Because if you remember yesterday, I kind of gave two thoughts. One being that this rally phase could be over and we resume some stronger downside. So in other words, the B wave could be over and we start to tumble down. But what we would need to see in order for that to kick in and take precedence would be we needed it to start to truly break our moving averages, support, and breaking through together with that their gamma levels. There were other volatility triggers that kicked in and then got down to a combination level that really suggested it should find support and resistance at that same place. And whichever breaks first is likely that's directional. And we got that. So we got lots of confirmation that we are going down. And what then adds to it was understanding what happens when gamma levels get penetrated, get broken. And so it is called adjustment time. And it comes in various forms. But in this particular case, because of the size of the positions, that they have to begin to, in this case, sell into weakness. And so you're aggravating an already aggravated situation. And one kind of snowballs into the next, and the next thing you know, you're down 2, 3, 4, 500 points. And we then saw the Dow basically trying to go up and the Russell basically trying to go up. That was early. And then boom, got smacked hard with the Russell 2000 ending down, future-wise ending down 75.50. Whereas the NASDAQ looks like it's going to close down 537, 535, right in that area. They always try to buy it up a little bit. Oh, it's done. It is going to close exactly where it is. Okay, so it's down 537. And the Dow, future-wise, this is what I found interesting today. They caught up a little bit, but they were trading much for, like you'll see that the future is down 641 and the cash is down 494. Now, granted, some of that is also because of aftermarket and the earnings. So what can I say? And that I went back. Now, one thing I'm also going to add right here is that these Elliott wave counts, as I'm working them, they are a work in progress. It's an active market. We're coming in each day. And so you apply Elliott and you do the best, but you've got to wait to see what the market really does want to do next to give you. So that's why I will always give you, or attempt to give you, both sides. That's why I do that. So that you're getting an idea. It's like, well, if it's going to continue to go up, here are the levels. And these are the possibilities under that larger count. So, but now we're going to see how that all fit together, and by the Elliott unfolding. So now I had put this over here. I put the 5 here because this to me looked like 5 waves down, and it actually still does. But it's a weird, not great pattern, even on the hourly. So I took it back and I said, okay, I'm not go back, because I was very satisfied with how this wave, how the A wave unfolded and came in. I was okay with all of that happened in between and the size of it and everything. So I moved it back. And then I put the A wave there, the B wave here, because B waves can go down. Put in a new low below the existing, but they shouldn't, right? Because what are we counting? We're counting a B wave. So the internal B wave, put in a new low, acceptable. And the pattern was acceptable. So I went A, B, C, and that then completed the minute B wave inside of the minor 4. Now, today's activity, does it not kind of look like the beginning of a C wave? Now, why? Well, C waves, what do? You've heard me often compare them to third waves or vice versa. Third wave, C waves, they're cousins. They present us with the same type of a situation, doesn't make any difference on the direction. They contain power. They contain powerful sections, and we're getting that. Now, coupled with some other indicators and some other data, it totally makes sense. So because of the speed, because of the depth. Now, does that mean, and let me just also put in right here, when we're talking about the information that we draw from groups like Spot Gamma, which these guys are brilliant with the models, I have to tell you. So again, here we are. I'm working in A, B. I'm trying to work in A and B to put a C wave down for the minor 4th wave. And so now what do I look for? If we're in that C wave, I do look for the power. I look for the market just going to turn and go. Whether it's up or down, it's going to go. And it did, and it broke support. I think about 3 or 4 times it broke support, which told me that it wasn't any longer a part of a move that was still going to go up. So in other words, if we were in still this B wave and this was the C wave of B, like, holy cow, how am I going to count that? Wave 1? Is this wave 2? Now, let me just leave it with you. Yeah, it could be. Now, I'm counting it differently, but it hasn't come down and taken out, well, it has taken out that low, but it hasn't taken out these lows. And I'd like to see that to put the capper on there, and this being the C wave. Now, when we go over and we look at the S&P, and I tried to put this up there to block that, but sorry about that. Now it is. If I go over, when I look at the ES, it is kind of different picture. it has really kind of got a different picture. Same in that it's the ABC, but it's more convincing that we're in the C wave, but likely just the very beginning. So I'd have to think on this one, possibly the same way. Now, if I move this out, let's go to the daily. It makes it a little bit clearer on this. There's my targets here. And here we are coming down. Here on the daily, it even looks a little bit cleaner. A, and then we have an A, B, C, B, and we're dropping in the C wave. And if I had to take it off of the daily, it's like, oh, one of C. Right? One of C. I've got no breaks. I've got no anything in between. Even if I drop it down to the 4-hour chart and open it up so I can see inside. Okay, at best, what could it be? 1, 2, 1, 2. Oh, so we're still in 3. So 1, 2, 1, 2, and then we're coming off in a third, which I would expect to drop below 18,720. Now, again, we're in a work in motion. So if tomorrow we walk in and they decide, no, the hell with y'all, boom, we're going back up and we're going to go to 20,000. Well, I'm leaving these up for a couple of reasons. Until it takes out that low, you can't discount or take away the ability of the market to turn. Now, what's going to cause it? Probably a combination of the same factors that we saw today. Now, a lot of it they went to, they said some of that information that came out this morning with the economic data, oh, they didn't really like it slowing this, da, 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 da. So that's what they credit the market dumping on. Investors were concerned. Yeah, okay. So, but that same type of data is coming out tomorrow, but even on a higher level, because what comes out tomorrow is the employment data for July. So that can be very telling. The unemployment rate can be very telling. Any missteps or misinterpretation, or whatever we want to call it, then yeah, we could have another more stronger down day because investors will be worried. At the same time, it is an expiration tomorrow. Now, there was a lot of buildup to this week's earnings reports, and they were from Apple, they were from AMD, Amazon, Microsoft, Meta. Microsoft? No. Yeah. Yes, actually. Microsoft, Meta. So, and how that's now going to factor into next, well, actually, NVIDIA did announce when they're going to do it. I think it's August the 16th. Excuse me, August the 28th. But we got to wait to the end of the month to hear from NVIDIA. So that stock will remain in play. Between now and then, but that's up and down. So it's going to get interesting. Now, also included in this, we have the Qs, the spiders, the IWM, depending on which index you may or may not trade. Those other products do have a pull because they carry the same weight in terms of how those options are trading, how they're stacking up, where the gamma levels are, what is actually happening, excuse me, in terms of volatility triggers. We have, again, spot gamma gives us combo levels. You're gonna have to go look that up by yourself but what I can tell you is that when I talk about them, which I will and do in the trade room, is that I am talking about if these levels are broken, excuse me, dealing with the bad air. When those levels are broken, what does it suggest? What happens when it breaks down or when it breaks up accordingly to the information that sits there? And that's what really helps me during the day to put together, okay, this is what we're dropping in. So I'm using that data to assist in, well, what in my Elliott account are we doing? Because what fits? Now, accordingly, what we've also picked up from all of that data that gets put out twice a day, actually, in the morning and then after the close, we're looking at not only what levels, but where they're sitting and what also gets added in is that when you get things like a volatility trigger that really did fail again today, we had one in the NASDAQ and I believe in the S&P that failed. Initially, got a little pop, then it failed, and we went solidly lower when it failed. So what I'm trying to also pass along is like whether you want to believe the data, whether you want to believe what it would suggest, that's exactly what's happening. So I can't, so that then also helps me not to think about, well, I got to be bullish or bearish. I'm going to go on what the market is doing. Because again, what are we? We're traders. We're traders. And actually, if you're coming into my trade room, then you're likely a day trader, maybe a swing trader. But this all works for all of that. That's what's going to be in the trade room. Now, back to what I'm talking about right now. So I think if we're in that minute C wave, let me pull this up a little bit. There's minute A, there's minute B. We're in minute wave C of the minor 4. What does that suggest for us coming off? Well, here we get a little bit better of a breakdown, but still, I think at best 1, 2, 1, 2, finishing up 3, finishing up just wave 3, and then we get a 4 and a 5. So how deep can I get down into here? Well, there's the zone. We were down 500 today at one point. Okay, we closed down more than 500, so we were actually more than that. So can we, if we go down another 500, where are we going to end up? Down into the zone. So again, we're going to be very careful what we count, how I count this all down. Let me finish up here because it's gonna make more sense when I go over to the S&P how I count this. Because I seriously, I got to share with you. This could be one of C. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1 of C. And I'll show you the balance of that. All right, moving averages. Well, okay, let's open this up. And you can see as we come back in, look at the old 20, sliced through the 200, sliced through the 50, and is still angling down the 13. We count it, but it's really kind of just slicing and dicing. That's going. This is the hourly chart. So over onto the daily, because that's the other one where I look at the moving averages. Here again, we have still the daily has yet to really have the 50 break below the 200. So, and I suspect that as this would pick up some speed, the 50 is going to turn and start to come down a little bit harder. Because I think it's going to be more, I hate to use the word, but I'm going to use it, train-like. You know, you got a locomotive that's picking up steam as it's coming because things are just unfolding and we're coming up. We have an expiration tomorrow. Could be, doesn't mean that it has to stay down there. So I think that it's like what really we learn from this information, and then what happens in the market is it kind of flips to where it's risk on, risk off. That's one thing that's like, and that's a level that actually volatility trigger starts to represent a little bit of, because when it's risk on, they're really selling volatility and going after all of these other things. Risk off, and there's other combinations, but the one that comes into my mind is this one, where I see that when they're really putting that type of, it's a dispersion trade, when they're putting that trade on, the market just walks itself up. Just absolutely very little pullbacks and just walks itself up. We saw it. They came into it yesterday. You know, they just bought it. See what they did? They had kept it up there. Then it opened here, flew up there, put in a new high, and died. And they're closing it down at the lows. Yesterday opened at the low and went up. Today we opened at the high and went down. So the direct opposites. Bullish engulfing next to a bearish engulfing. What will tomorrow bring? We shall see. So let's try to be prepared. And I'm looking for additional downside. Now, what can I do because it's an ABC? Well, one thing I do is I put in, and I'm just going to, I know it gets a little crowded with our fibs, but we've got to kind of work it this way. Actually, that's not correct. Hold on one second. I've got to go A to B to C. So now what we're looking for this completion here, right? No, I'm wrong again. Please forgive me. It's been a long day and I've been talking a lot of numbers. It's this one. Oops. And I was trying to figure out what my C wave is going to be and not doing it correctly. This was the correct one. I just coming off the wrong level. All right. So we're looking for a C wave, 0.618, 18,418. But most of the time C equals A. Oh, look where that is. 17,616. And I got my low at 17,473. 17,616. Okay. So it's still about 300 points above, well, less than, but we'll give it to 300 above the ultimate, what I think could be the low, which would be that terminus point down there. All right, let's go back over here. So there, I would think we're going to come down. And you can see on the daily, is it just one of five? If I'm looking for 5 of 5 to end up down here, I mean 5 of C to end up down here. And here it's like 1 of wave C. That comes down, finishes, we get a little bit of a rally, we come back down in the largest part, which would be the third, and I think that could do a lot of damage. And then we come back up and come back down. And then we're done with minor 4. I'm looking for minor 4 to complete here. And remember, what I'm looking for after that is, here's, folks, I'm going to make it very clear. This is a point here where we're coming down in this fourth wave. I'd be looking for that V bottom. Okay? I'd be looking for a V bottom when it gets there. You're going to want to catch this low. Let me put it that way. That's today. Now, we're got to get to that point. But when we get there, I'm going to be looking for a V bottom. All right. So here we are coming down. Let's go over and take a look at the S&P. Daily chart. Again, there is that rectangle, that box, that orange box. It's orange because that's the labeling. See how that is also that orangey color? And that is the minor degree. I'm in a minor degree 4. That's where I think it should come into. So I'm going to get off of the daily and I'm going to come down to the 4-hour chart and open it. I don't actually need to. I can go straight down to the hourly chart. Sorry, because I already did all the other work. All right, so minor 3, we're in minor 4. Same deal. In fact, this one is one that kind of went, I'm going to clean this up and see what I got. And again, originally I stuck the 4 over here and the 5 down here, and this would have had to have been A of minor, excuse me, A of B of minor 4. So the A of minor B of minor 4, and I thought, oh my God, that puts us way up here. By the time this is all done, if we just came down normal level, these would have been on there. These were just the fibs for coming off. Well, we went through all of them and basically almost took out that low. Can't be what it was. So let me take that off. So I'm just proving kind of where we were. Now, when I switched it around, so again, these fibs go along with a minute B wave. So I had those up there. Let's get to those. So switched it back, 3, 4, 5, put the minute wave A down here at this low, which was 54.3250 on July the 25th. Then I have wave A, B, C, wave B, slight irregular, slight. Again, internal B wave, a little bit larger B wave. It's quite acceptable. Put the B wave there. Then we have this heavy duty 5 waves up to this morning's high. 56. Where was that 618? 5607. Got to 56 on the nose, almost 5601. So that's pretty good. Now I'm going to take this one off because in my view, it met it. So I'm going to take it off. Now we're looking at the C wave down. This is the hourly. I'm going to open that up. This is what we're looking at. Let's see. Can I get a 1, 2, 1? Where, how does this fit? I even took it down and say, okay, let's take a look at it on the line chart. Oh, it's one big line. Wow. Start of the hour, end of the hour. Wow. Boom. All right. There's several hours in between, but you get what I mean. Start of it, finish of it. What is that? 1. Now you see what I'm talking about. So take it back to the bar. Still, I got little tiny ones. So is it 1, 2, 1, 2? Yikes. Please don't get in my way. It's kind of the message. I don't know. We won't know until we see the follow through on this. The hourly chart is kind of making some suggestions. All right, so now let's fill in our fibs. I took all the ones that I had in place that helped me rearrange, just relabel. The move is the move, it happened. But now, see, clean. And again, I can take it back up to that daily. We take a look at it. Oops. Nice and clean. A, O, B, O, C. Okay, that all fit. So everything to me looks good. Now I want to start filling in my blanks in terms of fibs. First one we're going to look at is like wave C. What should wave C do? What kind of damage can wave C do? All right, so we're going to go right there. And I'm going to add, that one. Bring it over to here. And take it up to here. So now that was the A, there's the top of the B, and now I'm looking for the C, 618, 5421. Okay, well, that would suggest that we don't get very deep. That might suggest where wave 1 might end. I don't know. But C equals A at 5311. I need more. So I think maybe 1, 2, 3. So where are we coming in? 1.618. Now we're in the box. See, this is the minor. Actually, these, I need to change the color. Pardon me for leaving that other color, which is more confusing. So let's get these together because they're a minute C wave. Now we're going to include all of those actually, because it could get a little bit hairy. We're looking for a C wave. And the C wave would be equal, or will have equality at 5311. Right, 2.23 or 0.236 for the minor. Looking for more. 1.618 is 5131. That's in between. Now we're getting a little bit warmer. Let me go back out to that 4-hour chart and let's take a look at what's that low. 5034 is that low on the basis of the September contract. That's the one we're tracking. So looking in 1.618, 2.618 is 4842, but I got additional 382 at 5,000 and that fits the bill. So I would be looking for the minor 4 to fit its fibs, and adjustments will be made inside once we get inside, once we start to unfold, because we'll have a 5-wave structure to work with. So we'll give an estimate for 3. We can give an estimate of wave 4 when it's done. We can connect 1 to 4. And then we're going to have a very clean picture of where we should end up down here. So, and I think it can happen very fast, to be honest with you. So it's going to continue to be interesting because we can have sudden turns. Let's see, the other part I wanted to add into this, which is stepping outside of Elliott and stepping outside of Fibonacci. We can use Fibonacci, but just to find levels, just to find where this market can go. But in terms of telling us, really, what is the next step? Are we done? Are we going to race back up? What are we forming here? Because I'm looking for a minor fourth wave. Minor fourth waves, well, it's already laid it out where you came down initially in 5 markets. So therefore, you should be doing a zigzag, not a diagonal, not a triangle, a zigzag. And that's what I'm looking for. And that brings us into all of this is a part of that. Now I'm going to bring it back down. Let's take a look at the 15-minute chart, because once again, you can work with your fibs intraday, and you'd start on a 15-minute chart. You can go down to a 5, and it can tell that I really don't have a solid. This was pretty solid rejection, breaking of levels that suggested adjusting is now demanded. And that's what happened. And it just started to continue. So at best, I think what I have to do, this is an hour, a 15-minute chart, 1, 2. I don't have a lot in between. Nah, that didn't work. Dang it. 30 to the 15 and open it up. There you go. So I don't really have that many points in here. This is like the first one that actually you could do an ABC. And then what does it truly do? I mean, I tell you, I could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I could. 3 is not the shortest wave. 5 is. Wave 1 extended. 2, 4, rule of alternation. Nah, it doesn't really work, but that's okay. It's not a rule. It's a guide. I don't think Elliott calls it the rule, but that is one where algorithms kind of crushed it. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't. But I could say this is 1 and this is 2, and we come up. And if that's the case, what we would do, we're going to put in some retracements for wave 2. Okay. And 382. So yeah, could we turn around and we end up back here? We can. We could end up here. We could end up here. But I don't really necessarily want to see it above that. And I think the 15 to 200 are going to have something to say about that. Plus, we're likely going to have some levels that might suggest resistance via other data. So I'm going to combine it again to what I get to do, and I do it in the trade room because when I get the latest data. I'll be looking at that, but these are possibilities. If this is A and this is B, and we're looking for a C wave, okay, because look, see, ABC, maybe only a flat or close to a flat. So we can do one more where, it's going to be this one. Go there to there to there. Now 54.91. That would be an ABC, and it could be a wave 2. Or we got up here, or we have 1.618. So we got 54.91, 54.04, 55.16, and actually 55.23 sitting up top, which could complete a second wave. And then we nosedive again. Now, when can all this happen? Well, I'm thinking that tomorrow's data might not be acceptable, right? If they're really blaming today on data, which I saw it, I thought, I don't know how bad that is. More jobless claims? Okay. Or is it just the perceived and it's just the narrative that gets spread around on the media? I don't know. But I'm going to leave that open. I'm going to leave it open that we could see overnight. If you remember for Meta, when we came in this morning, it traded up to 527. So they keep pushing it. They keep, they'll sell it off and they bring it right back. They just really want it. And again, what we got also in play tomorrow, We have an expiration. It's the first August expiration. It's a Friday expiration. I can only imagine there's going to be some pinning or attempting of pinning. And I think a lot of this could have been in advance of that expiration. Monetizing what they wanted to monetize and then letting it go. It goes out today instead of tomorrow. So what we got? I expect we have the possibility, strong possibility, that we start to go up. If not, 1, 2, 1, 2. So let's do both sides. You got your numbers. If not, you can stop it, reverse, go back and catch them. All right, I'll leave these up. But if it's an ABC, then we got up to here, and that's 2 or 4 or whatever we can come up with. But let's say 2. And it's 1, 2, 3. Start of the next leg down. 3. And it could be pretty big. Now we're dealing with the C wave. What do we have? A serious drop, maybe down to there. For wave 3, do a 4, and then we get a 5, which we're looking should come maybe into here. So you see how you can build it. So now the other side of this is that they go, well, no, we're all done. That's all in. And now we are just going to take this back higher. Well, that to me presents a very difficult picture, but I will figure it out. That's kind of like what you do. But right now, those are the two possibilities. We have upside, we have downside. It's going to be dependent on where the market ends up by tomorrow morning when we come in and we're ready to open. Don't forget, it'll be trading all night long in Globex. In fact, Globex is going to open in about 20 minutes. So we'll start to get a taste and we'll start to see. Because actually, Amazon and Apple are trading. Apple now basically not too far from where it closed. Amazon down about 8. So looking for something into that territory. So it could provide us with some more downside and then maybe push up. We shall see. But then we have also Asian markets that open later in the Globex, and then European markets. That's actually surprised me, because when I came in this morning and I looked at the charts and I'm like, you like Meta. You're paying $510, $514 for it. Okay. So then we got the numbers, and then we got our high, and then everything else was kind of gravy. And it truly, I wanted to talk about the trade for just a minute. It wasn't that difficult. The trade, if you were looking for lows to bounce off of support, then you might have gotten a little bit disappointed, because the additional numbers, the additional data said if the level breaks, look for it to get a little bit more serious. But you could see how there were algorithms that are still trying to bounce it. Enough. All right. So tomorrow, just to be clear on data that comes out tomorrow morning is U.S. employment, unemployment rate, hourly wages, and then at 10 a.m., those are all 8:30 a.m. and at 10 a.m. factory orders, which actually is supposed to be down. Now, it could have been the S&P U.S. manufacturing PMI, and then tomorrow we got factory orders. That could have been what kind of knocked in a little bit today, and then we get a little bit of an additional headache tomorrow. All right, so the next Elliott Wave daily update will be on Monday, August the 5th. I will attempt to put up a weekly update at some point over the weekend. In the meantime, have a great trading day tomorrow and have a great weekend.